This past week, Anthony Rapp's Without You began its limited run, which ends April 30th. In this one-man show, Rapp shares behind-the-scenes stories of the impact Rent's creator, Jonathan Larson, left on the whole cast, even after his death. The drama/cabaret is based on his 2006 memoir of the same name, in which Rapp revisits the rehearsal process of Rent as the first mark and the loss of his mother to breast cancer. It's an intimate and personal story in which attendees will have the honor of hearing both original scores as well as Rent favorites. So if you have the chance, check out this off-Broadway production at New World Stages in New York. Hi, and welcome back to Katie's Corner in Space and another new installment of the Star Trek Void, where I try to dig up some interesting data and share trivia, news, or just plain old Trek folklore for your entertainment between much-desired new episodes. So engage, subscribe to be more content to your device. Yeah, that didn't quite work. Sorry about that. Let's just move on. At the TCA Picard panel, we found out some of the core tenets of Star Trek and how seriously the original vision of Mr. Roddenberry drove the story for Picard Season 1 and 2, and what to expect from Season 3. And while many of you are pretty vocal on your thoughts of the first seasons of Picard and high hopes for Season 3, I found it interesting Patrick Stewart had such a pure view of how this season should feel and why Picard itself is a different sort of Trek than we had 35 years ago, which is why he was so eager to be a part of it. What excited me about starting work on Picard was that I had lived nearly 35 years since I first put on the captain's uniform. And there is no doubt, in that time, the world has changed. I have changed, too. He expanded on this. I wanted the series to show the impact of those years that had passed and how much one might change, continued Stewart. How much our mindset and whether fears become greater or less. Right now, with the condition of the world, my fears are high and full of anxiety, and so I wanted that to be incorporated. And Michelle, who admittedly I have adored for literal decades as well, reminded everyone of the other core guide when it comes to Star Trek and one of Gene's purposes for the original series. The whole thought and concept of Star Trek was to hold up a mirror to society, which is absolutely correct. From racism to flower children, the original series addressed the issues in society of the times. And today, Trek should do the same thing, reflecting on who we are now. And it's a part of Trek I always enjoyed. The after-school special of it was occasionally helpful. It still is.
They are fast. They?
But maybe that's why I enjoy tongue twister. But maybe that's why I enjoyed a recent interview with a former captain of yet another show which received more hate than it ever deserved. Trek Geeks podcast hosted a telethon recently to benefit the Hollywood Food Coalition. Among the special guests was one of my favorite space cowboys, Scott Bakula. Bakula made big news last year when he chose not to participate in NBC's reboot of Quantum Leap, so he has a history of saying no. But when asked if he'd be interested in an Enterprise reboot, he had this to say.
Listen, I've been doing this too long to ever say no, never, or no to anybody. I talk to everybody about stuff, so sure.
And he adds, the reason that it stays relevant, sadly, is that we have most of the same issues. They still exist on our planet. We've not made the jump to figure out that we are all in this together. That's straight out of the Trek playbook, says Bakula. Bakula is a sci-fi fan himself and watched the original series, and he was proud to be a part of Trek.
But I'm thrilled. I love that spirit of the show, which is what we were going for. I was really pleased with where we ended up on the show, and I'm really glad to hear that people are enjoying it.
Like Deep Space Nine and Voyager, Enterprise has gained new fans thanks to the advent of streaming. And while I can still hear echoes of complaints about a song people dislike so much they wouldn't bother with the show, I still find myself fascinated with the mythos of how the red alerts came about or shields were invented, at least in Starfleet.
I considered your suggestion read alert, but it seemed a bit narcissistic.
The new quirks of known alien races and answers to old questions long asked. Though I still wonder if Starfleet was right there, why no one knew why Klingons had smooth heads for a time. I just don't get why it wasn't common knowledge. Maybe that question will be answered in the reboot. I mean, I love the show. Have watched it easily a dozen times since its original airing, so yeah, reboot. The full interview can be found in the link below, so be sure to check out the full telethon and make a donation if you can. Here are the QR code and text info for donations, which are also on the link. It's a good chance to be that better reflection. And if you'd like more information on the stars and upcoming Trek shows, be sure to check out the playlist or this suggested video, and I'll see you there.